Hey guys and gals, and welcome to the second episode of the High Level Podcast on Thursday, February 4th, 2016. I am your co-host, TL21XX, and with me as always is
Andrew Muller, aka Lord of Ice 72 on YouTube.
And thank you for joining us, as always, guys. So, let's go ahead and open up the show. Second episode of the new format. Didn't get a lot of comments on the first episode as of the time of this recording, but we kind of expected that. It's kind of to be expected when you don't upload an episode for a year.
Yeah. Well, whenever you have crazy schedules like ours, it's kind of hard to actually get together and record a podcast on a consistent basis. Now, some podcasts get away with it. I know some other podcasts that I listen to, they only update once in a blue moon, but when you wait a full year, yeah, you're really not going to build up much of a listener base.
We'll leave it on top of that. Let's be real here. A lot of those are established ones, and we haven't reached that point yet.
Oh, no, we're far from that. But hey, at least we're having fun, and what listeners we do have, we appreciate you guys.
So, thanks as always for joining us. So, let's go ahead and get started with the news. We're messing with the format a little bit again, and we're going to try and get all the news out of the way up front, and then we're going to go ahead and get into what we've been watching, what we've been playing, and of course, the fabulous world of wrestling. So, we'll get into all of your pro wrestling stuff at the end. So, until then, let's go ahead and dive into current events outside of politics. Let's not touch that.
Yeah, that's really not what we're all about. Now, granted, if you are my friend on Facebook, I'll post some political stuff on there. But yeah, we're not a political show. I mean, we'll take a slight jab at every once in a while, but no, we're not a political show.
Yeah, we'll avoid that. So,
unless it has gaming involved.
That's true. That's true.
Well, there is, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there is, but I'm not sure what you were thinking of, or maybe you and I are thinking the same thing. Mighty Number 9 got delayed again. This is turning into a running joke as of late. I have no idea. I don't know what in the world is going on with that particular project. Keiji Inafune, he's not new to this. He should be able to, not delay it. But granted, this is just an outsider's perspective. I'm not blaming him wholeheartedly for this, but I am getting kind of annoyed because I really want to play that game.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Personally, I did not back the game, so I haven't had a chance to play it. I've heard a lot of really interesting opinions on it. Not a lot of positive stuff. Some of it is, but it's been primarily very critical of the game, and mainly critical of just some of the things in it that should be down pat, but just aren't for some reasons. Really disappointing.
Well, that's still not going to hamper my desire to play it. I'll get around to it, but as you know, my never-ending backlog of video games will always be there for me.
So let's see what else has been going on.
Can I?
Go ahead.
The Bungie is in deep trouble.
Oh yeah,
not
I saw that.
Or not financially. They're still financially good. They're still good in that department. But Bungie has gone through a bit of a, how should we call it, a structural reorganization. Their ex-CEO left the company not too long ago, and now their former CEO, now new CEO, has taken over. It seems that their latest project, Destiny, or not project, it's been out for over a year now.
Yeah.
The Destiny really has, gone downhill as of late. And Bungie is responsible for that, and they even sent out a survey to Destiny players asking, are you still having fun with this game? And it's only a year old, people, and whenever they're asking you that question in a new IP that's an MMO that they sunk, how much money did they spend in that? Or how much money did Activision spend? 500 million?
Gosh, yeah, I need to double check that figure, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it is around 500 million that Activision sunk into Destiny, and it's already becoming a lame duck.
Yep, they say they never put 500 million in there.
but that was one of the figures on the contract, wasn't it? When Bungie signed,
It
I know that
wasn't.
oh really?
Yeah, the 500 million is actually for everything. That includes development, marketing budget, and more. It's not just the game. The game actually
Well,
is less than 500 million.
well, still, it's a 500 million sunk into this project altogether.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money of Bobby Kotick's money just flushed down the toilet. Well, I shouldn't say that because a lot of people are still playing it.
Oh, it
I
made
mean,
its
I
money back. It's not
yeah,
an issue of did it make its money back or not. The problem is that they put a lot of money into that IP, and they're finding that people aren't playing it and aren't buying the little things they have for you to buy in the game. Does that game have microtransactions? I think it does. I
it.
didn't.
I don't know because I've never played it, and thank God I've never played it because I have my personal issues with Bungie. Uh, uh, but regardless of that, I think the biggest issue why the players have just left in droves because Bungie did a kind of underhanded tactic. They switched how matchmaking worked in the game because it used to be just connection based and that
Yeah.
was fine, and now they're doing it just skill based. Now that sounds good on the surface of it, but whenever you think about it for a little bit, you realize that that's not as good as it sounds
Yeah.
because if you're paired with the same people that are as good or better than you are, that sounds great. But if that person is all the way over in Dubai and they
Yeah.
may not have as good of an internet connection as you, therein lies the issue with that. So the fact that Bungie did this and without telling the players beforehand, and whenever the players had this massive backlash towards it, and Bungie's not removing it. In fact, they pretty much told the players very smugly in no lesser terms, "This is for your own good," and that pretty much made a lot of people mad. And there are other issues like the lack of content
Yeah.
not coming out, the lack of communication that Bungie is having with the player base, and it's just a big old mess.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna cut straight. I did try Destiny. I played the beta. I've played a little bit of the final game. It just did not get its hooks into me. It couldn't. It tried. And the thing is that, there's a lot of good things in that game. The gunplay is fantastic, but the actual core gameplay of that game leaves so much to be desired. It's not even funny.
yeah. I mean, the reason why I didn't get into Destiny, why I wasn't even interested from the get go, is because.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
okay,
are
let's try that
recording
again.
again.
Okay. So, anyway, my biggest problem with Destiny is, other than it being just an MMO, and I'm not a fan of MMOs in general at all, no matter what the genre, whether it be RPG or FPS. My problem lies with Bungie itself because after Microsoft and Bungie went their separate ways, I just lost all interest and faith in Bungie because well, they made a big deal about how they're now independent. Yeah, then they go and sign a multi-million dollar deal with Activision. I'm like, well, so much for that, but that's neither here nor there. My problem with Destiny is that it is basically Halo with hoods, to quote Razor Fist on YouTube, which, by the way, if you haven't actually watched any of his videos, please do so now. He is, without a doubt, the best video game reviewer on YouTube, bar none. I cannot recommend his stuff highly enough, but enough of me praising my Lord and Savior in Razor Fist. So basically, it is Halo with hoods, and it just looked like something. Bungie was trying to make Halo, but they couldn't make Halo anymore because Microsoft owned that IP. So they decided to make Halo Substitute. Only instead of making it a vast single player game with a covenant and all that, they just decided to cut all the single player campaign stuff out and then just make it an MMO, which, blah. So basically, like you said, it might be fun, but right now, if Bungie's going to treat its player base like this, I have no incentive of actually picking up Destiny at all anymore.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a problem with Destiny. Man, if they had just had good game design, I just don't think they can do it anymore. Unfortunately, it's just if I gave it a chance, that's all I can do.
Yeah. So, and to make matters worse, Destiny 2 might be outside of its 2016 release window well into 2017. Granted, that's just a rumor at this time, but with the way that things are going over at Bungie right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it did get delayed.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah. In fact, now I think they have to delay it because with the recent shakeup at the top, as far as management is concerned, the problems going on with Destiny 1 as of late, they're most likely going to have to delay Destiny 2
Yeah.
for its own good, too.
Well, it's like they say, a bad game is always bad, but a delayed game is usually eventually a good game.
Well, yeah, I agree with that for the most part, but at the same time, whenever you delay a game and delay a game and delay a game so many times,
You get
I
Duke
eventually
Nukem
lose
forever.
interest in it. Yeah, you get Duke Nukem Forever, and what a travesty that was. So I do believe in that statement to a point, but at the same time, I'm also a firm believer in the statement: you either fish or you cut bait. So it's kind of like me with Last Guardian at the moment.
Yeah.
They say it's going to be released this year. Although, granted, if you don't know the song and dance if you don't know that song and dance right now, then you really need to get your memory examined or
Yeah.
your memory checked. So,
Believe it when we
any,
see it.
yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, and it better be good because I loved Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, and I really, really, really want The Last Guardian to be good, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Well, um, wrapping up a little bit on some of the gaming news. Um, I'm sure you've heard about that certain Pikachu game, right?
Oh yeah, the detective thing, where they're trying to there's a petition going on where there's a Detective Pikachu game, and they're trying to get Danny DeVito to voice Pikachu.
That's
Which
hilarious.
that's the price of admission. If this happens, I will buy that. I'll be the first one in line.
Dude, I'm already
I
in
will be
line for
the
this dumb thing. I'll import it if I have to.
Yeah. If they get Danny DeVito to do it, I will buy it. I will buy the collector's edition. I'll buy everything associated with that game if Danny DeVito is voicing Pikachu. And they need to get maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger in there just at some capacity, just so they could reenact twins. You know that movie from
God,
the 80s?
yes.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh man. So yes, that one Pikachu game that's coming out. Yes, I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, there was another game that I was thinking about, but oh yeah, I've already told you. I told you off air, but I'm going to tell our listeners. I
Yeah.
am downloading Gravity Rush Remastered on the PlayStation 4 right now. I never got a chance to play it on the original Vita because who the heck owns a Vita nowadays? I own a Vita TV, but it's not compatible. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to be playing that. It looks really fun. I'm excited. And hopefully Gravity Rush 2 will come out soon as well.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up for our little news segment. Not a ton in between now and last recording in terms of like really big things that we feel like talking about. So let's go ahead and get to the big event that happened in between last episode and this episode, which would be that anime I told you to watch.
Oh,
And
yes.
how wrong were you about what Ninja Slayer from Animation was?
I could not have been more off base with that. Uh, I just watched it about 45 minutes before the show started, and wow. I mean, that's all I can say is wow. It reminds me of something that Adult Swim would do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say the minds behind Aqua Teen Hunger Force were behind it. It's, I mean, granted, I love Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's one of my favorite shows ever in the history of television. I love it. So I'm watching this, and it's got that really weird 2D flash animation that you would see all the time back in the early and mid 2000s on Newgrounds.com. Only 10 times more polished.
God.
It's but you also have some more classic style anime in between their anime animation in
Uh-huh.
between the 2D segments, as I'm calling it. This is wow.
Okay, what was your
It's not a
favorite
bad.
effect?
Uh, my favorite effect.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not sure. There was so much going on and so much to take in that it kind of left me confused after watching that, and not confused in a bad way. Confused as in I need to watch more episodes to fully get a grasp of what this show is and how the show wants me to take it. Because the
Oh my
first
god.
okay, the first opening scene is the main character uh, getting or changing into the Ninja Slayer character, and then
Yeah.
he's killing other ninjas, but it's just the way that he's doing it. It's like open hand slap killing people, and it's just amazing.
Of course, you always have to remember just like, the freaking elementary level Japanese class. Domo.
Yeah. Hello, Ninja Slayer-san. How are you? Just that.
So good.
Yeah.
So, for those that are listening to this in America, you can watch Ninja Slayer from Animation on Hulu, as well as on Funimation's
Yep.
site. Um, if you haven't seen it yet, because we're actually a year behind. This was a big deal last year, round about now. And what was really funny about it is that it's like one of my friends told me, "You gotta see this," and he didn't tell me anything else. I said, "What's it about?" He's like, "No, no, no, I can't tell you. You just have to see it." I'm like, "Is it good?" He says, "I can't tell you.
Just
You just have to
just
see
see
it."
it.
So yeah, no, I think my favorite part of it though is like when you really know that this show is just like, what the frick am I watching? Is when you've got all the police officers beating up on the homeless guy, and they all just flying from all the
Yes, I
different
saw that.
directions.
Yeah, there's like 20 policemen hopping on a homeless guy. Holy
So
crap. And I'm like,
absolutely.
what am I watching and why can't I look away?
So the story behind that show, it's funny. It was created supposedly by two guys from America. It's probably not true, but they've kept the kayfabe up to this point. So
Yeah.
take that how you will. That basically took all their knowledge of 80s Japanese pop culture and then reinterpreted it into their own thing. And the reason it got big is because of quote unquote translations on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
of this story that's supposed to be Americans' interpretation of Japanese pop culture in the 70s and 80s. So
Well, they're not too far off.
no, they're not. That's what's so sad about it.
Sad or hilarious?
Both.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, it's originally a light novel,
I'm not
and
surprised.
it was originally published online, then got a proper print publication. It's been turned into the anime. It's got a manga adaptation, and I think it's getting translated. Maybe I don't know. That'll happen sooner rather than later if it hasn't happened already. But yeah, Ninja Slayer, pretty good stuff. I got a kick out of it definitely as an animation
Yeah.
student. It's just like, oh my god. And the thing is that everyone was getting hyped up about this, and then it came out and everyone's like, what the frick was that? But they should have known because it's from the same team that did Inferno Cop. And if you've seen that one, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it,
It's
it'll only
Trigger.
take 30 minutes of your life, but it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's
So
Trigger
dumb.
Animation Studio. So if you know Trigger, then you know what you're getting yourself
Yeah.
into. Oh man. So other than that, I really
What
haven't been
is your
watching.
official stance on Trigger? I don't think we've ever talked about that before. What's your stance on Trigger?
Well, I don't know too much of their work. Like you said, Inferno Cop and now Ninja Slayer. I really don't know too much of their work, but I do like their stuff from what little I have
Have
seen.
you seen Kill la Kill yet?
I've read the manga. I have not watched the anime.
Okay.
I mean, Kill. No, I'm thinking of Akame ga Kill.
No, it's a
No,
comic.
I have not watched Kill la Kill yet.
Okay.
Akame ga Kill. I'm reading right now, and I love it.
Yeah, my bros are reading that one too. I haven't had a chance to really dive into that one. They tried to get me into it, and I liked it to a point, but I don't know. I kind of just like slowly lost interest, and I'll probably get back to it at some point.
Do not, yeah, do not under any circumstance, watch the anime.
Oh, don't worry, I already did, and I
I
made fun of it.
Oh man, yeah, that's the biggest mistake that you could do is watch the anime before you read the manga, because at a certain point the anime completely differs from the manga.
Yeah, and I never got to that point, and it doesn't really matter at that point because the big problem I have with the anime is just the animation is hot garbage. Like,
Yeah,
there's one
but
scene where there's like a 4 frame head turn. I'm just like, wait, what?
that's
Jeez,
the
and it's a
reason why
close
manga's
up
better,
too.
folks. Yeah, it's the reason why manga's better.
Depends. There
No,
are times where the anime is legitimately better than the manga.
no. Well, it really depends
Pacing
on when
wise, it can.
well, it really depends on whether or not the anime came first or the manga came first. Most of the time, the manga comes first. And I'm of the stance that the original source material is better than the adaptation. Same goes with light novels and such.
I used to be
Like,
that way, but ever since I started getting into the nitty gritty of storytelling and just looking at the different mediums and stuff like that, my stance actually has kind of shifted on that to where it's like, it depends. It
uh,
really depends because I've seen plenty of movies where the source material is just awful, and then the adaptation comes along and actually polishes a turd to where it's actually pretty good. So
well,
it can
are you
happen.
talking? Are you talking like straight, like classic novels to cinema?
No, not
Because yeah,
classic
I can
novels.
understand.
Um, it's more like, let me give you a good example. A lot of people probably remember a recent Hollywood movie, Edge of Tomorrow. That's
Yes, I
based
have. I
off
never
of
saw it, but
a light novel, Japanese light novel,
oh boy.
called All You Need Is Kill.
Oh yeah, I think you told me this once in one of our conversations
Great,
that we had.
great movie. The light novel, I'm gonna get flack for this, but it wasn't that great.
Mm,
It
send all your hate mail to
wasn't
him.
it wasn't horrible, but like the actual plot was good, and that's what they kept. But the actual writing all got thrown out, and there's a reason for that. Because when you watch the movie, the only thing that gives it away as a light novel plot is the opening, and after that, it's like, okay, no, this is I don't know what this is based off of anymore. It's just a really good movie, and that's hard to do, and
Yeah.
you usually don't see Hollywood actually doing a good job with a Japanese IP like that.
Well, of
But
course
they
not,
pulled it
because
off.
they're Hollywood.
But they pulled it off on this one, which is crazy. Um, so that's a recent example of where the adaptation I feel is better than the original source material. But it does depend. It really
My
does depend.
my biggest problem whenever a popular manga gets basically gets its own anime, or a popular light novel gets its own anime, is that depending on what studio it is, like the animation could be off, the voice
Yeah.
acting could suck, and both. And when I say voice acting sucks, I'm not talking anti. I'm not anti English dub, although a lot of people say I am. I'm not. But both the either the Japanese voices aren't as good, or the English voice casting isn't good. The soundtrack could not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's so many different factors that I just can't watch anime anymore. Hardly. I need to read the manga if the manga came
Mm.
first. However,
Speaking of dubs, though, I've got a
yeah.
question. Because
Okay.
we've talked about it on the show before. Um, the Devil's a Part Timer. Have you listened to that dub?
That's actually a really good dub. I love that dub.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
See, he does like good dubs.
Yeah, that's a really good dub.
Okay,
There's
carry on.
oh crap, there was another show. It wasn't a recent show, but oh yeah, of course I have to talk about my favorite anime slash manga of all time, Rurouni Kenshin. That is an amazing English dub.
Yeah,
I think I prefer that over the Japanese just slightly. But granted, the the English dub was even more. It's more impressive that it was so good as it was for when the time period it
oh,
actually came out in.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So I definitely prefer the English dub as opposed to the Japanese sub, just slightly. I mean, I can go either way on it. Other than that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, there are some exceptions to every rule. Obviously, Cowboy
Of
Bebop, that's the
course.
one that people are always going to go to. Uh, Rurouni Kenshin, as you mentioned, Devil's a Part Timer. That's a fantastic dub. I've read all the light novels that I could find that have been translated, and I wish someone would translate more of them because I'm chomping at the bit
You can
because
get them in
I
hard copy now.
freaking love that concept. Say what?
You can get them in hard copy. They've actually got up to the third volume done now.
Oh, good. I'll
So
have to look into that because
support the official
freaking
release.
yeah, I freaking love that series.
It's
So,
fantastic.
excuse me. Yeah. So, other than that, I really haven't been watching a whole lot. I'm trying to get back into the original Sailor Moon manga,
Mm,
but uh, and I'm gonna get flack for this. Now it's my turn to catch some heat. It's kind of stupid.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I love Sailor Moon to death, but it's stupid. Whenever you think about this sort of thing, because there was one scene, and this is early on. I think it's when uh, Usagi is trying to not convince, but Amy or Ami, Sailor
Yeah.
uh, Mercury. They're in the arcade, and apparently Luna, the cat, Usagi's cat, is trying to get the magical MacGuffin to Ami, and they're in order to get it, Ami needed to win this arcade game to get it, like this little vending machine thing. It makes more sense when you read the chapter yourself, but uh, for those people who don't know, Japanese arcade machines, like those not vending machines, but those arcade prize game machines, those are extremely difficult to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend hours and hundreds or if not thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money just trying to win that one item. I mean,
Yeah.
it is notoriously brutally difficult. And the reason why I say this is stupid is because instead of doing that, why doesn't Luna just give Ami the little magical MacGuffin to turn her into Sailor Neptune? Not Neptune, Mercury. Neptune was one of the lesbian sisters or cousins in the English dub. The original '90s English dub, if we're going to go back that way.
There you
But
go.
so that's one of the problems I have with it. But Sailor Moon, the latest remake of it, I haven't watched that, but the anime podcast I listened to did not give it a good review at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they said that the animation was absolute dog crap.
That's what I've heard. So I haven't checked
Yeah,
it out myself, so I can't really comment on that.
yeah. But the anime podcast that I listen to, if they're saying that it's dog crap, then it's best that I take their word for it. So
Yeah.
I'll just stick with the original manga for now, even though it is kind of stupid.
Yeah. So I think it's about it. I haven't been watching much myself either. So I think that'll do it for this week in terms of what we've been
Hmm.
watching. Sorry about not having a ton to talk about anime wise this time, guys. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a little bit more time in with anime and manga over the next couple of weeks for the next episode. So, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the latest in gaming, and then followed by the Royal Rumble follow up. Stay tuned. You're listening to the High Level Podcast.
And welcome back to the High Level Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am Andrew Muller, aka Lord of I-72 on YouTube, and joining me as always is
TL21XX. I'm not sure if I should use my real name on this channel yet, so we'll leave it at that.
I think by now people know who you really are, but okay.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
Okay. So this is the part of the podcast where we talk about what we have been playing as of late. It could be new, it could be retro, it could be anything in between. So, do you want me to go first, or should you?
You know what? I'll go ahead and go first because
Yeah,
I think there's a real interesting topic with what I've been playing because I haven't been doing a ton lately.
yeah, because I think I went first in the last episode.
Yeah.
So you have the floor, sir.
Okay, so in terms of games I've been playing, it's been mostly the music games again, getting back into my Bimani mood, playing a lot of ITG in the groove, DDR, and a lot of Beatmania 2DX. But in terms of my console gaming at home, I have not been doing as much. I did, however, have the chance to go ahead and pick up Halo 5. I've not touched the campaign yet, and part of that is because I'm really bummed about the fact that you can't play it co-op. And there's no split screen to speak of in the game at all. And
Boo.
yeah, real bummer because I've been replaying through the Halo games with my girlfriend it's her first time playing through them, and for me it's been great because I get to play through Halo again. We just finished Halo 2, so we're about to finish the fight soon with Halo 3. But the bummer is that we're gonna get to Halo 4, and then that's it. There's no co-op after that unless I get another console, and it's like, great.
No online co-op either, or
I think there is online, but there's no
local
screen.
Yeah,
and that's the problem because that's like, okay, you were the one that was playing Halo before I was, so you tell me, Halo's foundation was built on split screen.
absolutely. I mean, Halo was the original Xbox. It was the game that launched the original Xbox back in November of 2001. I didn't play it till a couple months afterwards when my friend actually got a hold of it because at the time my mom and dad wouldn't let me play M-rated games, so I'd have to go over to my friends to play it. So basically, this was before Xbox Live, so I'm kind of dating myself here. God, I'm old. But back before Xbox Live, yeah, back before Xbox Live was a thing, the thing that you would do nowadays it's kind of obsolete, but it's still fun to do. But the thing you would do back then is you would go to your friend's house, or they would come to your house, and you'd hook up your Xbox and have a LAN party. Now, for those of you for those of you youngins who don't know what a LAN party is, you need to organize one straight away because it is some of the most fun you will ever have in your entire life. I mean,
you will now have friends for life that will forever be in your mind, your gaming buds. Because, good Lord, even if you can only just get 2 Xbox 360s and a copy of Halo 3 on each of them, you're in for a night.
Because back whenever I was going to these LAN parties, back in my younger years, I was playing Halo with my friends. They actually introduced me to to Halo, and I'm going around. We're playing Capture the Flag. We're playing Team Slayer. We're just having a blast. And just some of the most funnest memories that I have ever had in gaming. Yeah. So let me tell you, there is nothing like sniping someone from halfway across the map, and then in real life, halfway across the house, you hear someone screaming at the top of their lungs.
It is the best.
It is. Yes, and vice versa.
I mean, technically, there is a way around it. Technically.
Yes.
Like, me and some of my friends will do custom games over Xbox Live in person. We'll have one box on one side of the house and the other box on the other, and we're stuck doing it over live, but thankfully it's not too bad. But we'll play the Master Chief Collection that way. But so we still get the feel, but there's something that kind of sucks about the fact that you have to use the netcode when it could be perfect.
Yes.
And just have the 2 consoles connected through a wire or something, or have them wireless on the network and keep it local, because they did do that with the 360. People forget that.
Yes,
the wireless adapter allows you to do ad hoc connections to other consoles.
Yes. I didn't do it all that much, but yes, the 360 did allow you to do that.
And now it's just like, you have to be on live. There's no system link in Master Chief Collection, and that's probably the biggest travesty from that game. And now Halo 5 doesn't even have split screen local multiplayer, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me, because that was the whole reason I got Halo back in the day, because I wanted an Xbox and I needed games, and 15-year-old me was like, oh yeah, I need to get some games for this, and my folks saw Halo and were like, yeah, that's fine, you can have that, you're old enough. And then it was like, mind blown.
Yeah. So can I just say something about this? And this isn't just for 343 Industries. It goes for gaming as a whole. I have absolutely no idea why these companies are wanting to phase out local split screen multiplayer or local split screen co-op for that matter.
It's so dumb.
And I just don't get their thinking. Do they not think that people don't want to go over to other people's houses anymore and play?
Because last I checked, that's like a big thing.
It still is a big thing. I mean, I guess they think that now that everyone's online, no one's going to go over to anybody's houses anymore. They'll just play online. That's not necessarily the case.
Absolutely
Because,
not. Look
yeah,
at just the popularity spike that we've been seeing in tabletop gaming. People are getting back into tabletop games. And you're hearing more people talk about it very openly. Like, yeah, we go over, we'll play, a card game or like Super Fighter, Cards Against Humanity, or, you know, D&D is back on the rise again. These are games that are social, and people care about the social aspects of video games and games in general. It's a very similar audience. So why would you kill off something as critical to social gaming like split screen? Because guess what? That was the whole reason the Wii was freaking huge, because it had all these games that were designed around multiplayer in the same location. You're missing a major audience by ignoring that. It's crazy.
yeah. So I don't get their thinking, or maybe they're not thinking at all with this. And I don't even think, uh, or maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know because I haven't been keeping up with it, but I don't even think Forza Motorsport 6 has that.
No, I don't think it
It,
does either.
it might. Hold on. I'll have to like verify that
Yeah,
real
go ahead
quick.
and
But
fact check that.
yeah, yeah, but I'll check that to see if that's
Yeah.
true. But
Well, the good thing is that 343 actually has listened. They've said Halo 6, they will bring it back, and that they screwed up miserably. Because basically, this is what they had run into. They were trying so hard to get the 60 frames per second thing going with the level of detail that they wanted, that they ended up saying,
it does.
we're going to drop the split screen. It does. Forza
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Okay.
Just to clarify, it actually does have split screen. Forza Motorsport 6 does. Okay,
All right.
that's a relief.
Good.
So now the 60 frames per second, I got something to say about this. I get it that people want it, but I I'm of the opinion that if it's a solid frame rate, I say it's good. Now I know I prefer 60 frames a second, but
Mhm.
to me it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah,
And
no, definitely. Well,
for many people, it is a deal breaker.
Well, it depends on the game. I think it's the big thing. Like for fighting games, oh yeah, that's a deal breaker. It needs to be 60 for a fighting game. But for a shooter, it's a little bit more negligible.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but now this is where I'm gonna blame the PC Gaming Master Race people. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
They want everything in 60 frames per second, no matter what genre, no matter what game, and I just do not get their thinking process with this. Because so long as the frame rate is solid, you really should play it.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, at 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second, fun tastes the same.
And the other thing is that eventually your game is going to run at 60 frames per second, because basically you can brute force anything to 60 if you have a powerful enough rig, and most of the Master Race guys do have that. When the game can't do that, it's because the hardware can't do that yet. I know there is an element of code optimization that gets involved, and I am all for optimizing your code because, you should do that. But after a certain point, you do run into the crisis situation where, hey, guess what? Your PC's just not powerful enough. Deal with it, especially with the way that things are coded. So many of these games were coded with dual cores in mind, not the quad core. And the fact of the matter is, the more cores you add, the slower those cores are going to be. Just how it goes.
Well,
as
that
of right now.
Well, that and back to the genre issues with 60 frames a second. A game like South Park: The Stick of Truth, that game was not necessarily. It wasn't designed at all to be played in 60 frames a second
No.
because the show that it's based on isn't designed to be 60 frames a second. It's
Yeah.
a cardboard cutout show with characters and settings made out of cardboard.
Yeah.
And with choppy frame rate because that's how the show is. I mean, if you watch a episode of South Park in 60 frames a second, it's going to look very weird and very off-putting.
Definitely. Well, look at the way that
Yeah,
people reacted to the Hobbit trilogy.
yeah. I was just about to say that the Hobbit trilogy in 60 frames per second, and people were coming out of
48.
the theaters like that looked 48. It
Yeah,
wasn't even 60.
it was 48. And the deal with that is that, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get uber technical on everyone because this actually is my field. So, woo! You cool with that?
Okay. Yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
So, a little bit of behind the scenes information. Regular cinema is 24 frames per second. The reason is because that was the way they could cheaply maintain the best look of motion and also let them cover up some of their budget issues. So the reason that we get frustrated with higher frame rates is because they remind us of soap operas. Because when television started, it was
Yes.
at the native refresh rate of the displays, which was 60. That's where 60 frames per second comes in. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. We're just used to 24 for cinema, and now there's 60. The problem is, in 60 frames per second, you can see all the detail. That's good. I mean, if you look at any of the tech demos that they're showing at all the TVs in Best Buy or Fry's or whatever, showroom store you go to that has the big TVs, you can see some amazing detail from that.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Like
That's the
I have
problem.
to stare. Yeah, I have to stare in front of the TVs at Best Buy whenever I go, and I could just be going there just to get a movie or a game, and I always get suckered into those TVs.
Yeah. So the problem is you can see all the detail. And that's what happened to the Hobbit trilogy because Peter Jackson decided, I want to try this high frame rate thing without proper planning for high frame rate.
Oops.
So he was doing 3D with high frame rate in 5K. That's awesome. None of that is a bad thing unless your designs were not made with that level of detail in mind. You have to do a lot of testing ahead of time, and they were not filming the way that they filmed The Lord of the Rings, which was deliberately with planned, over 2 years of planning. This only had maybe 8 months, and they went out and they shot this in the most high fidelity format available at the time. So of course the wigs are going to look bad. Of course the CG is going to look like a video game. Because the tech, while the tech is great and ready, the filmmakers were not, and the techniques that they were using were designed for lower frame rates that don't show all the details. So let's not destroy the technology. Let's not say that, high frame rate is bad. No, high frame rate can be awesome if it's designed for high frame rate. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of this content, especially if you're trying to go for the cinematic look, you have zero business living in high frame rate. High frame rate.
Frame rate?
Frame rate.
There we go.
And that's the Uber Tech tip for the day. I'm going to take that hat off now.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So basically what I'm saying is if basically other than a few genres, if the frame rate issue, if it's not 60 frames a second and that's a deal breaker for you, might want to consider it because you're cheating yourself out of a truly fantastic gaming experience otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
And I know
Definitely.
I know I'm going to get some comments from the PC gaming master race people, especially, and well, I'm not going to get a comment from this guy because he doesn't know who I am, but I know who he is, and I really like his stuff. But I think he's a little off base, and that's total biscuit. He sent out a tweet months ago saying that he's so used to playing games in 60 frames a second now that if it's not in 60 frames a second, he's not playing it.
Yeah.
Which to me that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't base your purchasing decision based on frame rates.
Most definitely. But, all best wishes and condolences to TB. He's doing a lot better, but he has gotten off
well
social
soon,
media.
sir. Get well soon, sir. Please keep fighting. We're thinking about you here. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm thinking about you, and I'm hoping you can pull through this.
So, anyways, that's what I've been up to. That's what I've been playing. Lots of Halo and music games. What have you been playing, through?
Well, I've kind of been bouncing around here as of late. Like I said on the last episode, I have been playing Star Ocean till the end of time, although I've hit the wall whenever. Actually, I hit the wall just yesterday. Um, I got to the dreaded plot twist
Oh
of this
boy.
of the game. Yeah, and I don't think I need to go into detail because I don't want to spoil anything for
Yeah.
people who've yet to play the game. But as someone who has played the first two Star Ocean games, more specifically, I played the PSP remakes of Star Ocean 1 and 2 on the obviously on the PSP, duh. Uh, Basically, when you get to the plot twist of Star Ocean 3, it kind of ruins your enjoyment of not only that game, but of the games that came before it. Now, I haven't given up on Star Ocean as of yet, and especially now that Star Ocean 5 is coming out soon. Yay for that. I've just decided to walk away from till the end of time, and I'm going to. I've already started actually Star Ocean: The Last Hope. Uh, another
Oh boy.
another issue that I took umbrage with in Star Ocean till the end of time. I'm just going to call it Star Ocean 3.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fine.
the combat, as I mentioned in the last episode as well, it ain't doing it for me. I mean, I vastly enjoyed the combat in 1 and 2 a lot more than 3. 3 just felt really clunky. I
Yeah,
mean,
it has a learning curve, a real learning curve, and not everyone gets it. Not gonna
yeah,
lie.
I mean, some of the things are in it are good. Some of them are bad. Uh, you have two different attack buttons, soft or light and heavy, but there are just some quirks in that battle system that
Yeah,
really just make me want to snap my controller in half. Like
yeah.
being able,
The distance thing is what
yes,
really gets a
yes,
lot of people, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was really smart, but I do understand it's like the way that it's set up is so not user friendly whatsoever. Because basically, you get too many attacks. You have too many attacks.
yeah, they try to overcomplicate it just for the sake of
Yeah.
overcomplicating it.
No, it's definitely
Uh,
true.
and the fact of the matter is the combat in there is basically two hit combos and nothing else. You're waiting. It's like two hit combos and then waiting for your rage meter to recharge.
Yeah.
Wash, rinse, repeat ad nausea. Now later on, your rage meter charges a lot faster, and you
Hmm.
can issue out more attacks. But you're basically doing the same two hit combo over and over again. And not to mention that the distance, as you mentioned, because uh, let me explain this. In the Tails series, whenever you are far away from an enemy and you press the attack button, your character runs toward the enemy and then attacks. That's great. That's what I'm used to. That's what I love. And that's what, quite frankly, all action RPGs should strive for. Not in Star Ocean till the end of time. In Star Ocean till the end of time, you hit the attack button and your character swings his or her weapon in the air and hitting nothing but air. He or she does not run toward the enemy, and that is frustrating beyond belief. And it's just so aggravating whenever you do that. Now, I did get used to it. Now, granted, I didn't master it by any means,
Hmm.
but basically Star Ocean for the Last Hope and Star Ocean 1 and 2 on the PSP, they have a lot better battle systems.
I will agree on the PSP games. Definitely, I'll agree on that. On four, I'll definitely agree. But yeah, the original Star Ocean for SNES, not so much.
Now, I'm not even talking about
Yeah,
the Super Famicom version. I never play that. I have it on my emulator, but I'm probably not going to play it because I have the PSP version.
yeah, and that one's using Second Story's combat engine, which is better.
Oh
So
man, so much better. I love that. Second Story is my favorite in the series.
yeah, that's how most people feel. So, anyways,
Yeah.
no, I understand. Yeah,
So
Star
other
Ocean
than
3 is a tough one. It's
yeah,
a tough
so
one to really.
after yeah, excuse me. After hitting the wall in Star Ocean 3, I've just been bouncing all over the place. I recently, and by recently I mean a couple months ago, I picked up Silent Hill 3, and you know me with my horror games, man. I love some horror games. So,
Oh yes.
yes. I am playing through not Star Ocean 3, Silent Hill 3, playing through that,
Lots
and
of
yes,
threes.
I have been getting the ever loving bejesus scared out of me with that game. I just got past the first boss uh, right as before we began this.
Mm,
I actually defeated the first boss in the shopping mall, and yeah, those are for some friggin' nightmare creatures. I thought I was fighting the
absolutely.
Sarlacc from. I thought I was fighting a Sarlacc from Star Wars in that first boss battle. So yeah, so far I'm getting the pants scared off of me in Silent Hill 3, and that means I'm loving it.
Fantastic.
Um,
Fantastic.
I've also gotten back into Bayonetta 2. I absolutely love those. I love action games, basically. So if it's an action game like Devil May Cry, Ninja
Yes.
Gaiden, uh,
Character
Bayonetta, of
action.
course,
Yes.
yeah, character action games, I eat it up. They are so freaking good. I love them,
Yes.
and especially Bayonetta
Oh yeah,
because
that's like the best one, no doubt.
yeah,
And
uh,
Bayo 2 is even better.
because
It's insane.
yeah, Bayonetta 2 it takes everything that made Bayonetta 1 great and just cranks it up to 11. And I love Bayonetta as a character, not because she's extremely attractive, but because she's also just an extremely powerful female character, which I love. I mean, and I hate to use this term, but Bayonetta is Bay. Oh man, uh I, I just love that woman to death. And just oh man.
How you
I
feeling
just
about her being in Smash?
Oh, I'm not a Smash Brothers player, but I'm cool with it. I mean, at this time, I'm very surprised that they haven't just chucked every character known to man in that game yet. I mean, we've already gotten rid of the only Nintendo characters can be in Smash unwritten rule. Screw it. Just throw every fighting game character ever in there.
You never know.
In fact, yeah. So I was actually thinking about if they were to actually add old school WWF wrestlers in there, what would Stone Cold Steve Austin's final smash be? Like the Stone Cold Stunner from Hell,
Yes.
where he just completely clears the screen and just stuns him, and it's an instant KO.
Yes.
You know what? Go ahead and put him in there. Except it's a E for everyone game, or actually no, it's a T for T game rated now. So I don't know how you would put in
E10.
Austin
E10.
E10s. Well, I don't know how you would. Middle fingers are not meant for 10-year-olds.
No. So you would just,
Neither.
PG it,
Yeah.
keep him down, do the fists, no finger, and then hit the
Well, you have to have his beer in there
stunner.
too. I wouldn't mind
You could just smash cans
if they
together.
bump it. Yeah. So yeah, that would be amazing if they did that, but that's never going to happen because WWE stuff. But we'll get to that
Yes.
later. But I don't mind Bayonetta and Corin, or how you pronounce her friend's name, being in Smash. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very cool. I mean, Cloud's in there, and
Yep.
if I did play Smash Brothers, I do have the game, but I never play it. If I did play Smash Brothers, I would say I would main Cloud. But whenever I go over to my friend's house to play Smash Brothers, I usually play a Shulk, and I usually end up being the freaking punching bag for everybody.
Yeah, Shulk is a really tough one to get down. He's got a bit of a learning
So
curve,
far,
but he can be fun. He can be
well,
really fun.
yeah, he's very fun, especially whenever I get his attacks right, and I actually do score a knockout every once in a
Yes.
while.
It's very satisfying.
Yes, it
So,
is. What are some other games? I already mentioned I'm on Star Ocean: The Last Hope, and
mm-hmm.
oh boy.
Yeah,
But I am playing the international version, so I don't have to
good,
listen to the god awful English dub. So I
good,
switched that to Japanese.
good.
I'm not making that mistake. Um, I was playing Silent Hill 2, but I've already beaten that game
There you
not
go.
once, so I don't really need to play it again. And I guess that's it for everything. Oh, and Splashdown 2 Rides Gone Wild for the PlayStation 2. That is a very, very fun racing game. I think everyone has their own niche genre that they follow. Mine just so happens to be water-based racing games. So I'm talking Wave Race, Hydro
Wave
Thunder, or
race.
Splashdown, Rides Gone Wild. That is a very, very fun and addictive game. However, it's very easy to break because
Yeah,
if you win a couple championships, you can earn enough money in the game to buy the best character in the game.
Oh wow.
His name is I believe Ethan Hawke, or Michael Hawke or something like that.
Oh jeez.
He's a James Bond wannabe. He's basically the James Bond of this game. He wears a tuxedo. He has his jet ski is called MI7 instead of MI6. He
Oh my
speaks with
god.
he's a British secret agent in the vein of James Bond,
Oh, that's fantastic.
and he has the best stats in the game. So if you use him, yeah, you pretty much beat everything in the game.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's all I've been playing. I've been jumping all over the place, and of course, as I mentioned in the last segment, I've got Gravity Rush Remastered downloading right now, and it's probably already done by now.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Well, I think that's about all we've been playing on this side. So let's go ahead and take our final break, and we'll be right back as we decide. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try that outro again.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's all we've been playing. So when we come back, we will be talking about the latest in pro wrestling, covering the Royal Rumble and our thoughts on the results and what else we've been watching in the world of pro wrestling. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to the High Level Podcast. And welcome back, guys. It's time for the main event. And that would, of course, be the pro wrestling segment of the High Level Podcast. Once again, I am TL21XX, and with me, as always, is
Andrew Muller.
And we're going to go ahead and dive straight into our thoughts on the Royal Rumble. What did you think?
It's possibly the best Royal Rumble that they've had in recent years. I mean, it's definitely better than the last two Royal Rumbles, that's
absolutely.
for sure.
No question.
Probably the best Royal Rumble since 2008. You know, that one that John Cena won as the surprise number 30th entrant.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's go into it a little bit. The rest of the pay-per-view actually was really good. I had zero hype for it going in. I think we both had no hype going for it going in. And
dude, I never have any hype going into a pay-per-view unless the letters NXT are involved.
True. But even more so than normal, this card on paper just did not look like it was going to deliver, and yet it did.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. From the very beginning, they start with that barn burner of a match between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. Good God Almighty, that was fantastic.
That was very cool. That stole the show.
No question.
Right out of the gate. That stole the show.
No question. That's how you open a pay-per-view. That's how you put on a garbage match.
I just wish that Kevin Owens kind of got the win there, but I understand why Ambrose won.
No, I agree. It is a bummer. But the good thing is he's still relevant, and I think that's the cool thing about how much faith they have in Kevin Owens, because he's still popular despite the fact that he hasn't won very much. And it doesn't feel like he's lost the luster. That's what's weird. He does need to win now, yeah. But what's crazy is that he has been able to continue to be relevant, continue to be interesting, and they've got a bunch of feuds lined up for him now from the Rumble. We'll talk more about it when we get to the Rumble, but
yeah, I mean, they're probably going to do what they did with him last year and have him fight the world, which that's a pretty interesting segue. They could have him fight the League of Nations, but Kevin Kevin Owens versus the League of Losers, but then again, that would make him babyface, and we don't want that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we kind of
forget that idea,
but we don't.
Yeah, so forget that idea. Keep him heel, never turn him babyface, and let us keep cheering for his heel stuff. But anyway, other than that match, my second, the Rumble is always my favorite match on the Royal Rumble. Go figure. But another one of the matches that I really enjoyed was Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio.
Yes, that
the
was
United States Championship.
A very good match.
Yes.
Very good match. It helps when we have two guys who have styles that just mesh so well.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have Del Rio being the perfect Rudo and Kalisto
Being a
the
technical.
yeah
Go ahead.
the high flyer.
Being a the high flyer, the Technico. Is that what they're called?
Yes, the
Yes.
Technico.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would know more than I would, but
not by much, man. Not by much. I'm
well,
not fully
I'm
immersed
doing
in Lucha Libre
in Lucha.
whatsoever.
Well, when Lucha Underground gets kicked off, well, actually, it is already kicked off. Well, whenever we get caught up on Lucha Underground, we will be.
If I don't get El Rey, do
Yeah,
you get El Rey?
I do not, but Daily Motion puts
Yeah,
those episodes up, so
yeah. So
that's our way
that's
to actually do that.
pretty much. Um, so once again, I'm mad that Uverse won't let me yell at them to say, "Hey, you should get El Rey because I need my lucha fix."
Exactly.
But oh well. You'd think we get it too, because I'm in Austin and it's like Robert Rodriguez's backyard, and yet I can't get his channel. What the heck, man?
I don't know. But anyway, we could go on about Lucha Underground all day, but we need to get to. We'll get to that eventually, but we need to
Yeah.
get back to the Rumble.
Back to El Patron. Oh, I'm sorry, Del Rio.
El Patron, yeah. Don't worry, I make that mistake too. So I'm really happy that they put the belt back on Kalisto. He never really should have lost it to begin with.
No.
And hopefully they will keep him with this little run because Sin Cara is now injured.
Yeah.
And yeah, cue the jokes. He's now injured. Yep. So I'm hoping that Kalisto gets a nice little singles run. But what I worry about that is once Sin Cara's all healed up, I really worried that they might split the tag team, and I don't want that. I love me some Lucha Dragons. I don't want them to split the tag team just because Kalisto has had a successful run as a singles guy.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think it might be good for him to have that tag run in between, because he'd be running with the low level belt card, the low
Mid-card?
mid card belt. Yeah, well, the low mid card belt. Since you have the high mid card belt now with the IC title, which good on WWE for finally fixing those belts, man. I mean,
well,
for ages that
I wouldn't say fixed yet.
Well, okay, at least we care about them again.
Yes.
That's more than we can say from last year, where no one cared about the US belt, no one cared about the IC belt. I mean, people threw a fit when they put Daniel Bryan into the IC belt ladder match. There's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm. Because whenever you put, legitimate superstars and big names in there, people will actually care about them. Oh, and also, whenever you have a belt on somebody, will you please, and you make them look strong and not lose all the time, then people get excited for it. But for years and years, WWE put these lower card belts, these low to mid card tier belts on these guys, and they would constantly lose non-title matches on Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And they expect us to be excited for the wrestlers who hold the belts at pay-per-views. And I'm like, these guys are losers.
Yeah.
They're losers that have a belt around their waist.
The best thing that could have happened to the US title was giving it to John Cena, having him do the open challenge, having consistently put on great matches with said belt, with all the people that people actually care about, and then ultimately having it lost to, someone that matters.
Yes. And even though I don't like John Cena, that was basically, for the longest time, the reason to watch Raw.
The only reason to watch Raw for
a
while there.
Because he did have amazing matches in that U.S. Open Challenge. But I'm really hoping that they really don't kill the golden goose with that, because I worry that since it was successful with John Cena, will they do that with Kalisto? Is he going to have the Open Challenge? I just don't want the U.S. title to become the hardcore title, if you know.
Oh, no. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Because
that was a Cena thing.
Yeah, because the hardcore championship, while I have fond memories of it, it did get stupid after a while.
Well, mostly because it's the hardcore championship.
Yeah.
The reason you could get away with it with the U.S. title belt will be because it's still a wrestling title belt. It's not a garbage match title belt where you have to defend it 24/7. It's, okay, we do an open challenge. So it's this match, per usual, is a title belt match, and whoever wins, wins. And usually that means the guy that's got the belt's going to win, more often than not. But, it's cool.
Exactly.
I like that.
Because titles never, well, the main title never changes hands on Raw. They don't even wrestle that on Raw.
Unless your name is Mankind.
Yeah, unless your name is Mankind, and it's January 4th, 1999.
Exception,
but,
not the rule.
Yeah, exception, not the rule. But for the lower to mid card titles, yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, yeah, no, that was a good match though. It had good chemistry and it was enjoyable. Divas match?
I don't care about the Divas division. I don't. Once you leave NXT, I care for you not.
Well, they did just turn Sasha to a tweener, so things are ahead, I think.
Well, no. There is no good things unless Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn are gone. You're fooling yourself.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because they actually did let them wrestle on the Rumble, so,
Yeah. I'm still sticking with my gun saying if you want real women's wrestling, stick with NXT because you're not going to get it on the main roster.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Come at me.
All right. So, let's go ahead and dive into the Rumble itself, which is the main topic of today's episode. Let's start with the big surprise. Number three.
The phenomenal
never,
one.
Ever supposed to step foot in a WWE ring, and yet there he was.
I wouldn't say never. I think it was going to happen eventually.
Dude, no. TNA is toxic. They were, like, if we were going to see him in a ring, it was supposed to be NXT. He was not supposed to debut at the most important pay-per-view of the year. At the number 3 position.
He didn't debut at WrestleMania, dude.
WrestleMania is not the most important anymore.
Well, not anymore, but
the Rumble is the most important because it determines the main event of Mania, which determines if Mania is going to be any good or not.
In case you couldn't tell, we're talking about AJ Styles, people.
Woo!
Yeah, so AJ Styles, I'm not surprised because I knew he was going to be in the company eventually. I just didn't expect him to be in the Rumble. If anything, I thought they were going to hold him out till the post-Rumble Raw. But I'm very happy to be wrong in this instance. He came out at number 3, and he came out at number 3, and he lasted quite a long time. I think, 20, 25 minutes?
Yeah, no, he ended up lasting there for more than half the match, and when he got thrown out, the right guy did it.
Yeah, and he even teased a Styles clash, and Michael Cole actually called the move.
Yeah.
I was shocked whenever I heard Michael Cole say that because
absolutely.
I figured they were going to do typical WWE. They're going to say like, "Oh, what's this move? We've never seen this before." And WWE, in a rare moment, actually treated its audience like smart individuals and not idiots like they usually do.
Well, a lot of it is because they know that AJ Styles is a name. He's already had national exposure. He's had international exposure. And here's the big thing. I'm pretty sure we all know who the real person that pushed to get him in was.
Triple H.
Exactly. And he's been very good about maintaining continuity with these guys that have made names. I think the last guy that had to deal with the I'm losing everything with my name guy, I think the last guy that had to go through that was Finn Balor. But even then, he was okay with that. He said, no, that's good. Him and Sammy, they're kind of the exception. They said, no, we do want the reset. We do want to start over because we've got this history with these characters that we kind of want to reset when we come into WWE. So with Sammy, they unmasked him, bye-bye Generico, because as it turns out, he's a great talker. And with Balor, it was, okay, I've done my thing. I've had a character, but I really want a true character this go around. So,
Correct.
thus we get the Demon, Finn Balor, or the Balor Club coming up potentially.
Correct. So we mark out for AJ Styles. He lasts for 25 minutes. Right guy eliminates him,
Kevin
and
Owens.
hopefully this is going to be a very good run for him in the company.
Absolutely.
Although I say
Absolutely.
hopefully because you all know what WWE loves to do more than anything. It's screw up potentially good storylines. So I'm really happy that AJ is
Yeah.
finally in where he belongs in WWE.
Absolutely. And the good thing is that they've done a good job so far. They started by throwing him in the ring with Jericho, and I don't know. I've really enjoyed that feud. It's a smart feud, putting those two together because they're similar
It is
backgrounds.
smart.
It's
I'm
like
very
their
surprised that
stories parallel each other so well that it's like it reminds me of whenever, and the matches are not the same at all, but it's the idea that when you had those matches between Terry Funk and Mick Foley, it feels like that kind of matchup where they're rugged, grizzled veteran who has the same experience as this new guy who just came in, who's brand new, and it gives the young guy legitimacy by putting him in the ring with this guy right out of the gate. It's perfect.
well, he's
It's
not
perfect.
young. He's 38 years old.
Okay, let me rephrase that. New guy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Because
So,
that's the thing. I mean, you have to also remember when Jericho came into the WWE, he wasn't a spring chicken either. He had already been wrestling at around the world and at WCW for a few years by then. I mean, not
oh,
as long as
exactly.
AJ's been wrestling, but
Uh-huh.
he had a decade under his belt already when he got to
Exactly.
the F.
Mm-hmm. And excuse me. What was I gonna go with? Oh yeah, I'm very surprised that Jericho actually agreed to have an angle with Styles because I figured that Jericho was only wanting to do house shows now because he's an entrepreneur, he's in a band, he's doing all these other stuff. So I'm very happy that Jericho is actually doing this angle and not just a house show events, but
Absolutely,
actually on TV. Yeah,
absolutely.
even though it kind of pains me to see one of my favorites lose all the time because I followed Jericho ever since he was in WCW,
Yeah,
and just seeing one of my heroes lose all the time, it kind of hurts me. But I get it, and hopefully it'll build up AJ Styles. I just hope there's no law of diminishing returns when it comes to this because if
for
you
sure,
have, yeah, because
for sure.
on paper it sounds cool. It's like, hey, AJ Styles is beating Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has legitimacy. He's been world heavyweight champion in both in WWF and WCW. I think in WCW, unless I'm thinking of
They
completely
never gave
different.
him the title belt at
Yeah, I'm thinking of
WCW.
the cruiserweight.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the
the
cruiserweight
cruiserweights he had.
division. So forget that. So, um, but at the same time, if you have the legend lose so many freaking times, it's like, hey, he beat Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho loses all the time. Who cares? I just don't
Exactly.
want that happening. But
No,
I
no
don't
one
think
needs
that's going
to
to
lose
happen.
to. Everyone beats Y2 Dad Bod,
Yes. Uh, I can only hope that I look like that whenever I'm his age.
pretty much.
Uh, so that's going to be very interesting to see. I cannot wait to see what AJ Styles can do at Mania.
It's gonna be
My
good
that's going to be my match of the night
for sure.
whenever that happens. But
And they did let him
let's
hit
not
the
get ahead of
Styles Clash
ourselves.
on SmackDown that week,
Yes, they did. I haven't seen it yet, but I will see that.
and Renals calls it. It's fantastic, and it's not banned, and that's what matters. Styles Clash still cashing checks. Hopefully not breaking necks, but still cashing them checks.
Well, it wasn't his fault that his opponents tucked their heads. Wasn't
Nope.
it
Yeah.
was
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Don't
no
tuck.
need to ban the move because the guy taking the move is an idiot and he tucks his head and takes it wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway, other than AJ Styles being in the Rumble, which we thought would never happen, except I knew it would happen because that's where all legends end up nowadays is at WWF. What did you think of the finish?
Okay. Before we get to that, I want to touch on one last thing with AJ.
Okay,
Um, because this has been a really interesting point of debate online.
okay,
How do you feel about the way they held on Reigns when they brought him out?
they did what now?
When
I
they held
couldn't
the camera on
quite
Reigns, because
understand.
there's a re-edit on YouTube now where they show the Titantron because a lot of people complained. Do you think that was the right move to just keep the camera on Reigns as he's gawking and then cut to AJ?
I never really knew that was that big of a deal.
Apparently it was.
I mean, of all the things to complain about, you're going to complain about a camera angle. I'm going to revert to what I always say when it comes to production. That's Kevin Dunn for you. There,
Done
you
cut.
have my answer. Blame Kevin Dunn. There,
Done
moving
cut.
on.
No, I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. Getting back to the finish. So in between the finish, okay, so we knew that there was one of two outcomes for the Rumble. Either Roman wins or Triple H comes back.
Yay.
And we have the return of the Reign of Terror. And I know it gave a lot of people some PTSD. And I was like, yes.
It's not the Reign of Terror.
Of course it's not the Reign of Terror.
It's not the Reign of Terror. Okay, look, the Reign of Terror was at a horrible, horrible point in the company's history from 2002 to 2005-ish. Raw was unwatchable. That's when I had to switch over to SmackDown because they had the SmackDown 6 and Paul Heyman was the booker.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Reign of Terror was unwatchable. And even after the Reign of Terror, Triple H went on to win the World Heavyweight Championship a few more times. But the reason why the Reign of Terror was so bad is because Triple H was built up as the guy and nobody else. They had absolutely nobody else. But here, fast forward to present day, him winning the championship isn't so bad because he's a holdover champion. He's not going to be holding it for months on end. He's going to hold it until Mania, and then he's going to drop it back to Reigns.
And the whole thing is that he's now enhancement talent. Like, Hunter doesn't win his feuds anymore, people. He's never supposed to win his feuds. That's the gimmick.
Oh.
He's Triple H corporate stooge now. He's the final boss.
He's Triple H
of the
corporate
WWE.
jobber. Yeah,
Yep.
he's Triple H corporate jobber. That's what he is. And at this point in his career, he needs to be.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do for the business. It gives people the rub. They look good. And, for me, what's really funny is the way they handled the ending. So, the way they got rid of Reigns was annoying, but was smart.
I popped. I don't care how you eliminated him. Just get him out of the Rumble.
Oh, absolutely.
I do not want to see him.
Yeah. I'm not talking about how they eliminated him. I'm talking about how they got him out of the match. Because he only wrestles for maybe 10, 15 minutes of that match because they end up sending Vince and the League of Jobbers out to powerbomb him through the announce table, and then they cart him off, and then he forces himself off, and he walks out, and then he comes back out later, and then he gets thrown out.
Yeah, how in the world is WWE trying to build this guy up as a fighting champion whenever he wrestles for 10 minutes and then he basically
peters out?
Yeah, he gets beaten up by jobbers, and then he's in the back taking a bathroom break, and then probably getting himself a bite to eat and chatting it up with Vince at the gorilla position, saying, "I can't believe I'm going to get the belt back at WrestleMania. That'll show these internet smarks." So, once again, how are you supposed to build this guy up as a legitimate fighting champion when he takes a powder 10 minutes into the Royal Rumble match and then comes back out with only like 4 guys left? I'm sorry, WWE, but you got to do a lot better than that. Well, actually, you will never convince me Roman Reigns because he's a Vince McMahon big guy, and all he is he has the look, and he can't wrestle.
Pretty much. And the thing about it is that they could have rectified this. The other thing is that, and this is the smart thing, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe they could have had Dean win. No, Dean could never have won. Do you know what that would have done if Dean Ambrose had won this Rumble? Think about that.
He probably would have been the same position as Triple H is. He's a token champion, and he drops the belt at WrestleMania. I disagree with that. I think that if you put Dean and Roman Reigns in the main event at WrestleMania, and Dean drops the belt back to Roman, I think it would be kind of cool.
Well, the problem is that they would turn Dean heel, and on top of
what's the problem with there? He's a heel anyway.
Well, here's the problem.
Anyway. That's where
here's
he's
the problem. You end up not turning him heel. You end up with a Tajiri face turn or heel turn, Tajiri heel turn, and all of a sudden now you have Ambrose as the face, Roman's the heel, which is happening no matter what. If anyone turns on Roman Reigns, they will be face, Reigns will be heel. That's how it goes at this point because they've botched it so bad. But the big thing that I've found is that the second you put anyone that has any remote amount of face heat against Reigns, you are going to get the flip. And Hunter is their best chance at getting what they want at Mania. But I'll tell you right now, if the Rumble is any indicator, you are going to get face Triple H reactions at WrestleMania.
He's already got it out of me. He's already got that out.
I mean, I'm already for the base H. And a lot of it is because he's the guy that gives us NXT. That doesn't help either.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I love Triple H right now. Granted, granted his Reign of Terror. I really don't like him for that. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really have in mind him other than the fact that he was never really a main eventer until who's the guy? We were just talking about him. Mankind put him over huge back in 2000.
Yep.
Yeah, I never really took him seriously as a main eventer until then, but he had a great career afterwards.
Yeah.
And I really hope that Triple H gets a monstrous babyface reaction whenever he comes out, because I just want Vince to fail.
Yeah.
I want Vince McMahon to. I want every one of his plans to fail because I want him out. The guy just cannot run the company anymore because he's so out of touch with everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap this up, let's talk about some alternatives to the WWE. Obviously, NXT, as always, it's been pretty good. Should keep it up with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of quiet right now.
Yeah, they are really basically in a holding pattern until NXT TakeOver Dallas, which we all know that's going to beat the crap out of WrestleMania anyway.
Could well be.
I heard. I already saw the card, and I'm going to spoil one match. Not who's going to win because the results are it's live,
but
so we don't
existence.
know. But the one match that I'm really looking forward to, Shinsuke Nakamura, and he's going to be facing a returning Sami Zayn.
That will be fantastic, no doubt.
I'm marking out right now. I'm so excited for it. I'm shaking right now. I'm so happy that that's going to happen. So that's going to be my match of the night for NXT TakeOver Dallas. But other than that, I found out that I get Access TV now, so that means I can watch New Japan Pro Wrestling with English commentary. Granted, I can watch New Japan World anytime I want because I have a New Japan World subscription.
Right.
Obviously, we talked about Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network. However, we don't get the El Rey Network, so we have to resort to other means. I haven't watched the Season 2 premiere yet, but I heard it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
And for those of you who don't watch Lucha Underground and it's your first time actually watching it, it's going to take a little bit because it's not a wrestling promotion. It is a television show. The way that it's shot, the way that it's produced, the way that they have special effects. You are going to love it. You just need to come at it from a different perspective. If you come at it from a regular television or regular wrestling promotion standpoint, you're going to hate it. Yeah. But it's not a wrestling promotion. It's a television show that just so happens to be about wrestling. Yeah. Ironically, that's what Vince McMahon wants Raw to be, but it's anything but. So all I can say is please don't be like Jim Cornette and trash it, because Jim Cornette's an idiot right now before doing such the thing.
No duh.
Yeah.
I could have told you that like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You want to talk out of touch.
Yeah, no kidding.
Remember, it could be worse.
It could be worse. But basically, my favorite wrestler on there right now is Pentagon Jr. Anytime where you Pentagon's can get him to break some dude's arm, I'm happy. Arrive, break arm, leave. That's all you need to do as Pentagon Jr., and I will pop for you.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about all we've got for this week's episode. Thanks for checking us out. Yeah.
One thing. Before we sign off here, a bit of sad news for wrestling.
Yes.
Axel Rotten has passed away at the age of 44. For those of you who don't know, Axel Rotten was one half of the ECW tag team. I believe it was a Bad Blood or Bad Breed, I want to say. It's been a long time since I've watched ECW.
Yeah.
It was Axel Rotten and his on-screen brother Ian Rotten. They were the tag team in the ECW back in 1995. They were mainly known for like these crazy out of control matches in ECW, even by
Yes.
ECW
Oh yeah.
standards. Uh,
Oh yeah.
my favorite match was Ian and Axel Rotten in the Taipei Death Match. That I love that match. It is so gory, but it's so good. So
Is it up
I'm
on
looking
network?
on. Uh, I believe so, but honestly, I wouldn't watch any ECW stuff on the network because WWE's editing just makes it almost unwatchable because they edit over everyone's intro songs. Yeah,
Due to the
because you know how
licensing, yeah.
ECW used licensed music back in the day. So
Lots of it.
so hearing, for example, hearing Sandman not coming out to Enter Sandman, it'll ruin the experience. So
Yeah, it
I
is a
would
little weird.
I'd recommend going to YouTube and seeing if someone else has the uncut and unedited version of
Mm.
any ECW stuff. Um, but other than that, it is really sad. His real name, Axel Rotten's real name was Brian Knighton, and 44 years old. That's far too young to
Crazy young.
go. Yeah,
Crazy young.
I'm not seeing a
And
cause of death here listed, but I'm pretty sure we'll get one here within the next day or two. But
yeah.
rest in peace, Axel
Yes.
Rotten.
And someone to keep in thoughts and prayers. He just announced that he has cancer. Bret the Hitman Hart, the excellence in execution, is currently fighting about with prostate cancer. Yeah, which
Yes.
yeah,
It's
that's near and dear to my heart.
yeah. Prostate cancer. I mean, if you're a guy, it's basically if you live long enough, you're going to get it eventually. But it really shouldn't have happened to Bret Hart because he's not young. He's in his 50s. He was born in 1957.
Yeah.
But to be at that age when you're quote young and you get it,
Yeah.
that's not good.
No,
And he's already
it's
had.
not.
I think he's either going to have the procedure done or
Yeah, he's having it done.
he's having it done or he's already had it done. But I think he's having it done. That's pretty far along in the cancer stage, and
Yeah.
we've lost too many legends as of late, and I really don't want Hitman to be
Most definitely. Yeah. And
added to that list.
you know, the good thing is, in terms of being able to treat a cancer, that is the one that we've had the most success in preventing and doing a good job of taking care of it. It's
Yes.
leagues from where it was back in the 80s. That's actually the
yeah.
disease that took my grandfather on my mother's side before I was
Mhm.
born. So yeah, definitely keeping you in our thoughts and prayers, Hitman. So
And
yeah.
one more thing, it's not wrestling related, but it is basically athlete related athletics.
Mhm.
Hero to me and many other kids growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s when the uh, extreme sports just exploded on the scene.
Mhm.
Dave Mira has left us, and
Yes.
Dave Mira, for those of you who don't know, he is or was, I should say, he was the pretty much the godfather of BMX.
Yes.
Whenever, yeah, he was my
Well,
generation. Well, not the godfather, but
no, because the Godfather would be Hoffman.
yeah, Matt Hoffman. But Dave Mira, Ryan Nyquist, all those guys
Yeah.
back ripping it up on the X Games and just doing
Yeah.
his thing back in the day. Very fond memories, but
Absolutely.
it just comes as a shock to me because they're ruling it an apparent suicide right now.
Yeah.
And
It's
just
crazy.
as I see the news that Dave Mira has passed away and left us because of suicide, it uh, it shook me up, and
Yeah.
it's just
It's crazy.
awful news. I mean,
Definitely.
I don't understand it right now because I mean the guy had fame, he had success, he was probably richer beyond our wildest dreams. He had a wife, he had two beautiful children,
Yeah.
and to decide to end it all at only the age of 41,
Yeah.
it's just really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because to my knowledge, I don't think he was any sort of depression because of it.
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. Had to be something to look into. We'll
Ugh.
probably hear more. This news
It-
just broke when
it's
we
just
start
horrible.
recording.
Just because it's just absolutely awful. So yeah, so X Games gold medalist. I think he won a combined 27 medals of gold, silver, and bronze in X Games. I think that's no, he won 25 of them. That's second most to Bob Burnquist. So
Yeah,
just it really does suck. So
it does,
rest in peace, Dave Mira. You will be missed.
for sure. And on that note, guys, that will do it for this week's episode of the High Level Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and spread the news about the High Level Podcast. Share us around. And on top of all that, you can find us probably soon. We're going to look into making a Twitter account for the show. Look into making a Facebook page for the show, and potentially getting a SoundCloud up there with an MP3 version so you can have it on your daily drive. We'll look into these options going forward, and we'll let you guys know as soon as we have all these things up. But until then, I'm TL21XX.
I'm Andrew Muller, Lord of I-72 on YouTube. Have a good one, guys.
See y'all later.